if y'all aren't sick of me by now, I don't know what to do about it. Here they come around 17.
I'm checking the chat, Brian. Believe me,
Yeah.
I'll let you know.
Yeah, they're sick of me, I'm sure. We're having a great time. I hope you're having a good time at home. Here we come down to get ready for the green flag here for our final race of the weekend. And it is, we're waiting for the starter. There it is, green flag is out. Here comes the cars. It is 35, pounding down towards turn 1 for the final time. They're all gonna go in. Will they all come out? We'll find out in just about 10 seconds. There are 2 cars side by side up front. Have I spoken too soon? Have I jinxed us?
Well, they made it through turn 1, Brian.
Well, most of them have. Let's see if the rest of them do. So far, no dust. That's a good sign. Still side by side up front. Now they're starting to come through. So far, everybody playing well here. A couple of side-by-side action going into turn 7, but everyone looks like they're coming through okay. Little S's, little side-by-side stuff there too, but not too bad. We've got the standing yellow out at 3, presumably for the car that went off on the first lap. And then we see a little dust off there in the distance, so someone put a wheel off there, but that's probably just a tiny wheel.
All right, Brian. And so quickly, it sounds like Shaoyi in the number 29 machine had contact with another car coming through 17, spun the car. He has now continued. They didn't get the number of the other car,
okay,
but that area is now clear.
I see the track truck there at the exit of turn 5 on the right-hand side, so that's probably where they're going to try to help whatever car that is there. Also, track trucks now in front of your leader, so they'll work their way around that truck and figure their way through there before they move on. We're just in the middle of our 4th race lap here, and so plenty of time for things to happen. Looking at T3, Todd Clark is your T3 leader at the moment, and he is several seconds ahead of 2nd place Simon Aslin, and your 3rd place car in T3 is Shaoyi. So,
and that's after the spin that he had.
Lots, even some side-by-side action here as we're getting deeper into the race. We're now 5 laps in, so we're working lap 5.
Yeah, and we're watching a great battle here in T4. That is Marc Cefalo right there, Brian, with Cefalo right behind him, and Cefalo right now our leader in T4. He's got Shaoyi right behind him in that number 29 machine, and then Simon Asselin. So there's a battle right now in T3, and I think that is the battle for second in T3, directly behind our T4 leader. And it looks like now the T4 leader is giving up the spots to those 2 T3 cars.
I thought I saw a little bit of contact there as they came through. Very slight though, if there was. Hard to tell from the distance, but. This camera angle as they make it through the little chicane heading on to the back straight here, and this is actually a good camera angle because you can see the speed as they come through there.
Things are tightening up at T4. Just had crossed the stripe, and now coming through T1, Marc Cefalo, and so right behind Cefalo now, Simon Asselin, who we talked about before in the 01 BMW, the 109 car, but directly behind Asselin now, and only about, I would say, maybe 10 car lengths at most behind Marc Cefalo, Devin Anderson, yesterday's winner in T4, and the car that Cefalo had too many issues with is we're coming through 6 right now. The last 2 cars there that we see come through were Asselin and Anderson. If Anderson can get around that silver BMW, it's battle on with Marc Cefalo for the lead in T4.
Like that's Frost, Shaoyi, Cefalo, Asselin, and Anderson in that pack of 4. So, and it's actually the closest pack of racing on the racetrack right now.
a car off, Brian.
Remember when I was talking about how if you put your car off wrong there, you can spin it? Well, that's exactly what just happened. Thankfully, the car didn't hit anything and is able to move on.
Ooh, and
side by side.
Yeah, look at this, and that's Asselin, and that's Asselin, who has just now gotten around our T4 leader, Marc Cefalo. But if you look at that view right there, Devin Anderson in the number 111 Subaru BRZ, he is closing things down on Marc Cefalo. Again, this is the battle for the lead in class. Cefalo getting a little defensive, coming out of the hairpin, heading over towards turn 10. Didn't want that Subaru to come underneath him. I was just going to mention, and we're going to continue to track this fight
we
here.
got a car spinning coming out of, I don't know what turn that is off the top of my head, but that was a pretty big moment. Did not hit anything. Back on the track, it's a yellow Porsche, and moving right back into it. I can't see the number. As
and he comes back on right ahead of that battle in T4. Watch now this battle shaping up now with only about 5 laps remaining here in T4 as Cefalo and Anderson now more or less nose to tail, Brian.
Yeah, this is really shaping up to be big, and this was kind of a good battle to watch at the end of yesterday's race as well. Actually, I think we spent most of the last half of yesterday's race looking at this T4 battle, and they've been putting on a great show. T4 lead race getting spicy.
Here we go.
And, I love it.
And John, a touring car advisory committee racer and advisor, obviously, so he knows of which he speaks. And we can see here as Cefalo and Anderson, still sitting back behind Asselin. Asselin, it took many laps to get that BMW around the Mazda Miata, and now it almost looks as though, at least in some of the corners, he might be inhibiting Cefalo's run through there, and certainly backing him up right now to Devin Anderson. Right back behind Devin Anderson is Matt O'Toole in that number 3 car, obviously, who just had to spin a lap ago.
Well, and while you say that Asselin might be backing up Cefalo, he's also racing for a podium position.
Yeah.
He is only 0.8 of a second behind Shaoyi, and so he doesn't really give a rat's
exactly
about the cars behind him. He's solely focused on the car in front of him.
Exactly.
And that's not a good sign for Marc Cefalo and Devin Anderson. They have to pretend like this guy has no idea he's there, because there's a really good chance that that guy has no idea that he's there.
Other than the fact that it took him 5 laps to pass him.
That's probably true. That's probably true. But there's no reason for Simon Asselin to give them any break, because he is literally trying to move up to 2nd place in this race. And if there's any problems with Todd Clark, who's not that far ahead of them either, this could be even a battle for the lead in T3.
Yes,
so, amazing action here that we're watching, and we're not paying too much attention to the cars up front, because Mark Bowden has a 10-second lead over Scotty White, who's got a 4-second lead over John Heinrichsey, and those positions are pretty much locked up at the moment. That's why we're focusing on this battle for T4 with the T2 and T3 cars involved. Matthew O'Toole was able to get around the T4. That was the portion that spun a little earlier. He's now going to get in front of all of these cars, and then they'll have nothing but themselves to fight with all the way to the finish line as we get ready to get to about 3 laps to go here. There
you go, and you can see the 3 car getting ahead of both Shaoyi and Simon Asselin, so he's going to lead through. And oh, look at this, as coming out of turn 6, looks like Cefalo moving to the inside a little wiggle from the car. Now, there wasn't really anywhere for Devin Anderson to go. This is one of the twistiest, tightest sections of Sebring International Raceway, and as opposed to some of the other races, maybe Devin Anderson thought twice about taking to the grass.
Right, so the 4 cars that you're seeing are the 2nd and 3rd place cars in T3 and the 1st and 2nd place cars in T4. They are all putting it on the line here as we go into as we're in the last 3 laps of the race, 3 to go right now. That Porsche's checked out. Hopefully it'll be able to stay out front and not bother those cars. Now there's been a little bit of a break between the T3 cars and the T4 cars. That's good.
Yeah.
Let them fight amongst themselves and not bother each other's races. Probably the best thing that could happen at this point for both or all 4 of these drivers.
Yeah, exactly. If there was one advantage to Cefalo having that little wiggle, is he's now actually gained a little bit of space to the T3 cars ahead. Now we'll see what happens if the Miata and the BRZ can actually draft back up to the back of that BMW.
Yep.
You would think that that E36 BMW might have a little bit more straight line speed if he can carry speed out of the chicane, of course. But right now, that jumble is more or less gone.
Classic multi-class sprint racing here. This is what.
Devin Anderson, Brian, looks like he may have had some issues going into the chicane. He's now lost about 7 car lengths to Marc Cefalo as they come back onto the straight, and probably the worst time that it could happen with just a few laps remaining.
Absolutely. He'll have to really put the skinny pedal to the floor to try to get caught up here. But it is a big gap. Marc Cefalo probably breathing a slight sigh of relief, but don't breathe that sigh of relief too quickly and too much, because it is certainly not over yet. But as I was saying before that little moment there, this is the classic multi-class type program that the SCCA delivers week in and week out at racetracks all over the country. And obviously the best of the best here this weekend for the Super Tour at Sebring. But we have had great action up and down the fields all weekend long. Marc Cefalo, he wants to get around a couple of these cars to put some barrier between him and Devin Anderson. If he can get into and around that car right in front of him, that's almost an insurance policy as they get into the final laps of the weekend here. Oh, and another bigger moment. I wonder if he has a flat tire.
Well, you know, well, they both had issues coming through there. We saw another big wiggle from Cefalo right before he tucked underneath the back of Simon Asselin, and I think Cefalo's going to try and outbrake Asselin going into the hairpin, can't get it done. But yeah, Anderson looking as though he's got some issues at the rear of the car as he runs a little wide there coming out of the hairpin.
We're still watching it. Here are the cars coming through a bigger lead now, and Marc Cefalo is just trying to take it home. And I keep thinking to myself, did Devin Anderson have a tire go down, or maybe a sway bar having a problem in the back? And certainly that car is not handling like it was early in this race.
No, yeah, he is definitely falling off the pace, even as they came out of 10 and 11, and now as they come out once again out of the chicane onto the Ullman straight. Anderson has lost almost another 10 car lengths. He seems to be having some trouble there, and it may very well be a suspension problem. But at this point, Marc Cefalo has a lot less to worry about than he had just a lap ago here, as when our drivers come by, they'll be starting the penultimate lap, or probably they're working the penultimate lap.
Yep.
Our leader should be getting the white flag here in just a moment.
Well, and the other thing is that now Cefalo doesn't really need to get in the middle of that battle for T3, so he can let that kind of do what it needs to do and let T3 go.
Asselin and Shaoyi, the 29 machine, the 109 machine, that was right ahead of, it looks like we got another car, and we got a car off at the wall, drivers right coming on to turn 16, but that T3 battle right ahead of Cefalo is starting to heat up. All right, we've got a waving yellow now, Brian, over at turn 10, and try and pick up and see exactly what car maybe, and well, that'll make it easy for us.
Oh, there's a conage. They have committed severe conage.
And looks like that yellow flag will now come down, but one of our BMWs over there, looks like the E40s, one of our E46s.
All right, we are now on our final lap of the weekend here.